Still alive. Haven't been ate by a shark. Haven't been stepped on by an elephant. Sarah hasn't killed me. And we haven't rented a scooter, so there has been no scooter accidents. And the monkeys haven't bit me either. Anyway, what's the date today? I think it's the 2nd here, so that means it's the 1st in North America. And it is 1:45 at home. I guess the American Trump administration tariffs hit Canada today, officially, I think, or tomorrow, whatever it is. I'll tell you what, if I remember to, I got something to say about that. I'll save it for the end, all right? And you're probably going to be interested in hearing what I got to say, especially the people who are replying to my website build, all right? Now, more people are lined up to be heard. Got a lot in the recent inbox. I got a couple here from yesterday still I want to share. And, you know, some people ask, why do you keep doing this? How come you keep doing it? Well, because, number one, I'm a stubborn son of a bitch. When I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I swore I'd get every single email read, and I got to do it. I said I'm going to do it. I'm getting it done. But more importantly, at least everybody gets armed with knowledge here, right? So you get armed with knowledge that you're not going to get straight up honest knowledge anywhere else but from each other. So at least the people who are interested, or maybe got something weird going on where they live, or hike, or hunt, or camp, or whatever, at least you're going to be armed with frickin' knowledge. And knowledge is the most valuable item on the planet today, right? Honest knowledge. So that's what you get. And that is huge. Babbling away, probably not make any sense. Here we go. Listen to this. This is titled Academic. Interesting. Hey Steve, been catching your videos on YouTube, and first, thank you for taking a no-nonsense approach to this topic. Second, I'm not a hunter or any kind of survivalist type. I'm merely weekend, hike/camp, and a totally urbanized individual. Although I spent a lot of my childhood with hunters and spent many seasons on the west slope of the Colorado Rockies. Born in Kansas, moved to the Pacific Northwest in 1977. All right, thanks for the kind words in the opener. I have a BA in archaeology/anthropology. Graduated with high honors in 2001. I am quite familiar with the evolution of and vast tree of hominid relatives, for which we have an ever-increasing knowledge of. If we have a tiny relative Homo florensis / aka Flores hobbit, we can also have the opposite, perhaps descendants of the more robust species, like Australopithecine boise, Homo erectus, etc. Australopithecine. Australopithecine, boise, boisei, Homo erectus, etc. Anyway, I stopped talking about my experiences a long time ago because sadly, folks treat you like a fool. But the truth is, these beings are real. I read about them as a child, read stories and legends, read the indigenous lore, was told by the adults that it was just stories to frighten/entertain, and they were ignorant. And I wonder what this makes you think about your previous education now. My big experience was a frightening one. In 1989, my ex and I did a tour of Highway 101, Redwoods, California/Oregon coast, then cut across North California, close to Shasta, and stayed at a campsite in the Sasquatch. We had just thrown a mattress in our truck bed, had a hard canopy with windows, just the basics, and it was late spring. Campsite had a lot of trees, lodgepole pines, maybe, interspersed throughout. Even had food hoists in each camp for bears. We showered, ate, went to bed after a long day driving. Anyway, slept pretty well until about 3 or 4 a.m. and something woke me up. When I opened my eyes, there was a huge, hairy face looking at me from about 2 feet away through the window. I froze in sheer terror. No doubt. He/it snorted and stood up. showing me a massive hairy chest, and turned and started walking away. And as it moved away, I shakily sat up, looked out the window to watch it/him move silently through the campground, and literally vanished into the trees on the hillside. There was enough moonlight, plus lights from the camp restrooms, for me to watch all this. I was so frightened that I woke my ex up and told him, "We are leaving now." I told him what happened, and although he didn't really believe me, I was convincing enough about my fear. He did so without much fuss. I must note that it smelled terrible outside while we packed up, like wet dog, skunk feces, and the worst BO. That face still gives me nightmares. It filled the window. Huge, sagittal crest like a gorilla, but didn't have quite as a flat or a wide nose. It was thinner but large and protruding. Heavy eyebrow ridge with deep-set gold brown eye shine. Thin lips with a sparse mustache. Cheeks were high, angular with no hair. Light brown skin. Head hair was dark brown and shaggy. Medium long on the sides, shorter on the top. No defined neck, but huge shoulders, and I could see the muscles running up and behind his head. Saw no breasts as he stood up. So, male. From the back as he walked away, it was so tall. Estimated about 7.5 to 8 feet. Hairy, but not fully, more sparse. Could see lighter skin and muscles through it. Built kind of like a swimmer or a gymnast. V-shaped upper body, 3.5 to 4 feet across, easily. Slender waist, pronounced buttocks, long legs, a runner's legs, very defined. His walk was a glide, smooth and really fast. The way he just moved into the trees and gone. I've had other experiences since then, no more face-to-face, thank goodness, but spent time near Walla Walla Lake and near Joseph/Enterprise, Oregon, and I've seen nests, lots of prints, and talked with both white and indigenous folks in the area who know about them, live around them, and don't talk about it to outsiders. Tip: don't ever go down into Chief Joseph's Canyon. Anyway, this old gal is thankful for your efforts and felt comfortable enough with your take on it to share. I'd like to be anonymous, so just call me Pearl. Share my story or not, I just wanted to tell you that there are some urban academics who aren't foolish assholes who dismiss this reality. And I very much support Dr. Meldrum and those taking it seriously, as well as reinforcing you and your audience about your own experiences. Have a safe holiday season, Steve. Wishing you well again, and thank you sincerely, Pearl. Pearl, I appreciate your honesty, big time. I don't know how long this has been sitting in here, but I hope you've been listening to all the testimonies, especially those of Dr. Melba Ketchum and others who have been first-hand victims of the doctor you mentioned. All right, there's some nefarious, dark things been going on with the previous so-called big names. You support them? That's okay with me. I'll still be your friend. But I don't. Absolutely don't, never will, never have. But aside from that, I won't babble about that. I would be interested to know what your take is on what you were delivered in way of, quote, education, end quote, in academics, in the school, in the universities, in the colleges. How do you feel about that now? I'm curious to know. And what have you learned along your ride? What have you learned more of about these people? If you want to write me back, please do. Please do. And welcome to the club. Now, who's next? This is titled Scream in the Woods. No shortage of those. Hey Steve, regarding screams in the woods that so many talk about. Back in 1962, my parents had just moved into our cottage in the west of Worcestershire, UK. It was 7 or 8 months old, so still in a cot. Sorry, I was 7 or 8 months old, so still in a cot. In the middle of the night, my dad was awoken by a woman's screams from the wood about 300 yards away. He woke up my mother, and she could hear them as well. They both had lived in the country all their lives and at times worked in the farms, so knew what foxes sound like. After a few minutes, they decided that they had to go and look for her because it was so alarming. They locked me in the house with the dog shut in my room and went in search. They walked the wood for nearly 2 hours, but nothing could be found. The screams continued, but came from different points. In front, then from behind, and then from the side. My mom, a tough little woman, suggested they split up, but my dad was well spooked and said, no way. They abandoned the search and went back to bed. The screams carried on for another hour. Holy shit, weird that nobody called the cops if they were convinced it was a woman screaming for help, right? The screams carried on for another hour, and everyone said they had heard a fox, but they were adamant it was a woman. They never heard the screams again. Roll on 30 years, and I started to do charcoal burning and logs in that same wood. It was here that I first started to see movement out of the corner of my eye. But when I would look, nothing to be seen. And I strongly believe now, having seen a shimmer man head on, that these things are around us all the time. And if they don't want to be seen, they only have to stand still. Not long before my mom died, I played a cougar and a leopard scream. I've seen both here in the UK, to see if that was what she had heard, and no, it was a woman. I used to agree with the neighbors that it was a fox, but having listened to so many stories now, I have to say my mind has changed. Could I use your name? Let's use your first name. David, appreciate you coming forward, man. Big time. And you said, I played a cougar and leopard scream, bracket, have seen both here in the UK and bracket. Huh? No way. Now, I'm assuming you mean in the wild. And if you've seen that in the wild, I'm definitely curious to hear about that. I'd like to hear about that. And if you've been digging and looking into this enough, you know that you're not alone hearing the screams, and these people have been spotted in the UK. They have. There's no way out of it. And I've had a handful of people from the UK email me and say, oh no, there's no Sasquatch in the UK. Yes, there is. But anyway, I think I mentioned earlier, I know some guys with hounds that have hunted big cats successfully. They're doing it right now at home. It's minus 20 at home with snow all over the place, apparently, where my buddy is in the Shuswap. And I'll tell you what, I would be so interested in getting 2 guys that I know and their hounds, flying them to the UK and treeing those big cats. If they are there, these guys would have those cats up trees in less than a week. Guaranteed. But apparently it's illegal or something over there, isn't it? I wonder if you just get a special permit just to chase, tree them, and prove it once and for all, right? And how do they get there? Sorry, a little off topic, right? I clue in on the big cat statement out of the Sasquatch screaming. Shares, welcome to the club. Appreciate the email. But I would love to do that. Even in the South, too. I'm surprised nobody in the South of the States have treated any panthers yet, big black cats yet. Now, Portsmouth Howls is this next email. Hi Steve, please forgive the grammar and some typos as I am writing this from my cell phone. No problem. Please forgive my crude reading. I love in the hills, not far from Portsmouth, Ohio. You meant live. Yeah, 8 miles from Wayne National, and on the other side of me, 10 miles away, is the Shawnee National Forest. Both these places are constantly having reports of the big guy. I've been hearing them for years now, right across the hill closest to my home. That's about 100 yards or so. I'm glad I don't scare easy, but this is close even for me. Footsteps in the forest, howls at night, usually starting at about 1 a.m. and usually starting about 1 a.m. to about dawn, then quiet. Over the years, I've seen patterns to their movements and what's important to them, the obvious food and so on. But recently, there's been a change in their behavior. There's a high tension line running through the forest close to here. Recently, the power companies began the once-in-a-lifetime clearing, as I call it, of power lines. Heavy equipment, trees being taken down, all along the route. They have a flying lawnmower, as I call it. The thing takes out trees in one pass, a large helicopter that makes so much racket, you can't hear yourself think. We that seems to have pissed off the local tribe a lot. I think he meant with that seems to have pissed off the local tribe a lot. Every night for the past week, screams, howl, and what seems to be voices all across the hills close to my home. In years past, the signs of them being close were no sounds in the woods at all, nothing, and no deer, not even squirrels. And this is where I am now. Absolute silence from the forest every day, all day. Last night was one of the busiest yet. A lone pickup driver was coming up the hill close to the house. We heard him scream and lock his brakes. A split second later, he was at 90 and hauling. You heard him scream while he was driving? I guess another member of the club. We heard another scream and then silence. That was about 2 a.m. and pitch black outside. My dogs go nuts when this happens, so I keep them inside, just listen to them out there. Funny though, never a sign of them during the day, although I know they are there. I seem to feel it. It's 8:13 p.m. now, January 31st, here sitting on my couch typing this out. I wonder what tonight will bring. I've had them in my barn, my front yard, and even in my fields, but like I said, this year there's a change. They're not due for 4 months yet. Their main food source, berries here, hasn't grown yet. I do not provide a name, my mistake. You can call me Mike, and I've been a member of the club for a very long time. I know they're out there. I just want to know more about them. At any rate, thank you for taking the time to read this. Perhaps this might help someone else. And by the way, Ohio officially recognizes the big guy. Go figure. Wow, there you go. All right, man. Keep us posted. Seems you got a pretty fair grip of what's going on there. Be safe. And keep us posted on what comes. Interesting, right? Sea to Sky Gondola Mystery. My backyard. This is a real head scratcher. In both 2019 and 2020, the cable bundle for the gondola in Squamish was cut, dumping $10 million of cars to the ground. I heard a description of what it would take to cut the bundle of 6 twisted cables, which suspend the cars over the 2-kilometer stretch. It was described to sound like a loud screeching, which would carry on for about 10 minutes. A metal-on-metal sound, loud and hard to miss. Also, the person would have to be up on top of the cables to do it. After the first time, they got a security guard and surveillance. Aspects of the second event were recorded with the security guard walking underneath about 7 seconds before the cable dropped. New reports describe the individual as being extremely fit with a good knowledge of the area. And here is the link and some pics attached to which show the person on infrared. Very tall, well-built, no neck. Thought a little reminder of home might cheer you up. Safe travels. Safe travels. All right, well, and there's a photo. Where's that? Here's the photo. It does look like a fairly powerful. I don't know if, is that gonna work? I don't think so, because then I have to focus it in, right? Might be. You guys could probably Google that up. You can see that, right? Anyway, and there's some other people out there who tried to take the video, the still shots of this person from the infrared video, and try to say it was a Sasquatch without a doubt. But I mean, even on first glance right here, sure, it could be a big guy, it could be a puffy jacket. It looks like the heat signature is less where the chest would be. The hands are right at the waist. The hands at the waist throw it off, who knows, whatever. But what I can share about this is, I know one of the people who owns that thing. And they were trying to, I met one of those owners through business in Whistler. And I had a real bad feeling about this guy. And he really wanted to be partnered up with me with something that I still have. But anyways, my gut was burning with this dude. Burning. He offered me a pile of money too. But money, I'm not motivated. I'm good. So anyways, cut ties. But then later found out my gut was right. And I also know people who I know. I don't directly know the other partners in that adventure, which is the Sea to Sky Gondola, but I know people who's done business with the other owners as well. And I can tell you this right now, somebody in that crew screwed somebody. Somebody screwed somebody with a lot of money. So, there's no surprise when that gondola got cut down. And then they waited again, they cut it down again. And I would not be surprised if they cut it down a third time eventually. So that's what happened there. Do I think he was a big hairy guy that did it? No. Not me. Not me. Thanks for the email though. Absolutely appreciate the email because it was a fairly convincing picture to some. And some so-called names online Sasquatch community people really try to dive onto it and make it seem like it was Bigfoot for sure. No, those guys screwed somebody and they got some payback. Now, what's this one? But just so you know, where the Sea to Sky Gondola is right in the heart of where they travel. Side note. Bigfoot stalked me for my steelhead, ? Aloha, Steve. My name is Jason Robelo from Washington State. Share it. I have 2 fingers in the air like I don't care. Okay, man. Before I share my story, I'd like to babble for a second. F these lunatics sitting on their self-proclaimed thrones. Someone should have given these monsters a royal ass kicking in the day. It totally boggles the mind how so many people can just sit on their couches and gobble this horse shit every day at 6 p.m. Fear is such a dangerous weapon, and boy do they know how to spread that shit like butter on warm toast. I guess we could say that they are toast. Cheers to the good old rant, huh, Steve? Yeah, for sure. And I'm gathering you meant the mainstream, right? Mainstream. Story time. I sent a video with this email, including a return trip in spring during the day. This day started like any other fishing trip. Dark 30. We left the house at about 1.5 hours drive on Highway 6 towards the coast. I won't name the river, but I'm sure plenty of people know what waters run across Highway 6. Thanks to the internet. It's sad to say it's been blown up over the last few years. Shake my head. We made our limit after grinding all day. At this time it was 3 keepers. Now it's down to 1. F. Gay J. Inslee. Okay? I'm guessing you could keep your steelhead, right? After a full day of fishing, we left at about 5 p.m. January, it was pretty dark by that time. It's a 1-mile hike from the rig to the water. While loading up, I thought I heard my buddy call me, so I walked back to the tailgate where they were, and I said, "What's up?" And his response was, "Is the heater on in the truck?" And I said, "Yeah, you old pussy." LOL, as I walked back to the driver's side wheel well to take a piss, still yelling obscenities, LOL. And I heard my name again. But this time, it came from my 12 o'clock at the tree line across the 2-lane and ditch highway. You can only imagine my shock a split second later after my realization of the direction it came from. That's weird. And this is where it got weird. I felt what I can only describe as a high pressure. Not like fear, but awareness. I could feel myself being watched. In reality, I thought I was a game warden, but after about 5 seconds, I definitely knew this is no human. And how would they know my name? My next thought was predator, so cougar? Cougars don't talk. And just as the thought left my mind, that feeling of pressure ramped up to effing 1,000. I quickly grabbed my phone and started snapping photos of the alderwood across the highway where the pressure was coming from. And as I snapped the second photo, a set of glowing white eyes about 8 inches apart and 8 feet off the ground appeared between the rows of alder. Whoa. Game on. Steve, I could not believe what I witnessed. I've heard wood knocks, found upside down trees, tracks, and multiple moments of complete silence. But this shit was on another level. I felt it, heard it, and responded to it. felt like hours, but it only lasted for 1 minute. My disbelief was broken by my buddy wailing on the horn, scaring me to death. The most comical takeaway was my dick was still in my hand while all this is happening. I'll bet this Sabe had a laugh telling his buddies about how he caught me slipping. Cheers, Steve. I have some video of Knox tree structures and what I believe is a Sabe in camo on my YouTube. I know it's not your thing, but I'm sure some of the community would love to see it. I'll send those on my next email. Thanks again, and thank you for the most high for bringing open-minded, free, and strange people together to fight the darkness. The time's coming for us to choose sides and fight the dying of the light. God bless you all. Jameson Robelo. Appreciate that email, man. That's pretty alarming. Now you got a video. Now, okay, hold on a minute. I clicked download on that because I don't know why. Click download. Any videos you guys send me, I hit it, and then it says view or download. And if you hit view, it just says it's broken. Then I hit download, it saves it to my notes. Now, is this it? Give me a second. Alright, so there's the video, guys. I'll share it here, right here. And there's the video, so I guess he went back. Excuse me, during the, that looks like summertime to me. Or late spring. Late spring, early summer. Now, why is that not playing? Here we go. Dark timber, no eyes. Summertime timber, broad daylight. Dark timber, snow on the ground, probably January. He went back, close up of the timber, and there's the eyes. Boom. Yeah, that's kind of creepy. Now, you know what would be really interesting? Maybe you did it on YouTube, I don't know, but if you were to now go back, do the exact distance with the camera from the eyes, as obviously the eye section of your video or your photos, and go get your buddy to go stand where those eyes are, and then take a picture of your buddy standing there facing the camera. That'd be interesting too, right? Or not, whatever. But there you go. Appreciate the share, man. Appreciate the share. How do they know that? You're not the first one to report that of your name being called out. And a lot of times, people have had their names called out by their mom or their dad or their friend perfectly. But it wasn't their mom or their dad or their friend. And that's very, very alarming, right? Okay, these are all, okay, here's another one. Another recent. This is titled, Woman Screaming Bloody Murder. Sabe is the title of this email. Steve, lately we've been discussing how Sabe learns screams like women. And just how they learn to do that. I've had a theory for some time. Either the fathers passed it down to their juvenile sons, or the juvenile sons make it a kind of a rite of passage by going up to and peeking through bathroom windows when women are in the shower, and they react to the blood-curdling scream. So the juvenile, when he's back with all of his buddies, he reenacts that blood-curdling scream and laugh at how the lady went apeshit. I've heard cougars scream like that also. Perhaps they could have heard it from cougars. I think the boys peeking through windows is more fun. Or the father saying, son, when I was your age, we used to go up and peek through bathroom windows to make women scream. And it sounds like this. Instead of a woman saying, holy crap, or saying, I crap my pants, it's just that scream, like they're being murdered. I hope my three makes sense. In 1968, when my father and I first saw one, the female and juvenile climbing the glacier above Star Lake, above Lake Tahoe, and I thought they were hippies. I'd forgotten that on the other side of the lake that one had been throwing rocks, and my dad and my grandpa, Fred Luneman, called them hermits. But later we found out when the Patterson film came out for the first time, and we learned that they were Sasquatch people. About 3 months after we watched them climb the mountain above Star Lake, I awoke. Punctuation, okay guys? I awoke one morning and came to the kitchen, and Mom and Dad were sitting there, and they asked me if I had heard the woman screaming. Dad opened the sliding glass door and we could hear a woman screaming in our back field. Dad said it was a mountain lion. Kind of gave me a wink. Did they follow us home from Lake Tahoe? They may have a funny thing. Later on that year in the house I live in now, it had a clear sugar pine board roof with 4 layers of composition shingles on it, and a big hole had gotten the roof, and Dad could not figure out how that big hole had gotten the roof. He thought maybe when they were blasting for the other house years ago, but lots of years had passed. Airplane tire fell off and bounced off. He couldn't figure it out. When I tore off all the roof, I found it. And it had a 5-gallon can metal lid nailed over the hole. We never found a rock or nothing that would cause it and the hole. Sorry, that would cause it that hole. Next paragraph, I want to say when they lay eyes on you, watching you, that feeling of scopecia, scope, S-T-H-E-S-I-A, is so strong that it's not like when a human person stares at you and you feel like someone's staring at you. It's way more than that. You will turn around like you're going to be attacked by a mountain lion or something. I had that happen in Idaho, hunting and building logging roads in the Sierra Nevadas, above Ice House and Union Valley Reservoir, up on Picket Pin Road by Slick Rock. You will have a feeling when they lay eyes on you. It's so strong, you can't ignore it. You just start looking around, and the feeling of danger is that mind speak. They projected it on me. It got so bad that I got my Browning 7 mag out of my truck and pumped around into the barrel and carried it across my lap in the bulldozer and carried it across my lap in the bulldozer. Why they can project fear into you like mind speak and the feeling of being watched, the feeling of danger I heard in my head that if I go into that timber I won't come out. And I feel that was a male voice. Then I thought I felt a woman's voice saying, "Go back the way you came." I had a sense of all of a sudden being lost. And I thought, how could I be lost? I felt lost and confused. Are they doing that to these other people that are confused in the woods? And which way to go and wandering off trail? Something Dave might be interested in. I started looking behind me like I was going to be pounced on. And then lost. When I finally came around, I turned around and walked back through the snow in my exact footprints and got out of there. In the past year, I've talked to my cousins and asked him if they ever seen one. 5 of them were Eagle Scouts when they were young. They were in their 70s now, and they wanted to laugh. And I looked straight in their face and I said, "This ain't no bullshit." If my dad was still around, he'd tell you the same thing. I still seen him on a grin a little bit when I bring up the subject. But I look him straight in the face and I tell him that it's God's honest truth. I don't care if they believe me or not. I guess that's a badge they didn't get in their high and mighty Eagle Scouts. They haven't spent as much time in the woods as I have over my 65 years, and I hope they'd find out someday that for themselves, that these Sasquatch people are real. I also sent in my encounters of the female that comes into my garden area and steals cherries every year. I forgot, Dad, that she's also picked green apples off my trees. There's a bright light in the camera, and the next picture of no cherries in the tree, and the batteries were dead. She was kind enough to leave me a marble on top of the post the game camera was mounted to. And I don't know why I didn't remember that. I'll forget little clues here and there, and they will come to me later on. And well, that's my 2 cents on how they learned to scream like that. I thought it was a good answer, as any of them, and I don't know why, but I'm fascinated with these people. I remember bugging the librarian at schools about books on Sasquatch. I drove her crazy. Well, appreciate what you're doing, Steve. I'd like to see some more recipes from Sarah when you guys get home from where you're vacation. Hope you have fun and make the most of your time. I'm 65 and I don't give a damn. Steve, you can use my name. John Wunschel from Hangtown, California, also known as Placerville. I want to bring back Hangtown and the hangman's tree and fix some of these corrupt politicians. We still have the stump of the old hanging tree. I heard men are still hung in Hangtown, LOL. All right, man, there you go. John, I appreciate you, man. And I'm picking up what you're putting down. Is that how they do the scream thing? Well, I guess, it's, who knows? It's a good guess. But I think there's something a little more spiritual. I don't use this very often, but I don't know, man. When you're gonna mimic women, the blood-curdling scream of a woman being murdered, that's not a kind soul. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. I don't see that as being kind in any way. If anything, that's more like a demonic move, right? To impose that sound. The blood-curdling sounds of a woman being murdered and willingly drop that on a family with children in a tent somewhere. That's pretty dark. It's pretty dark. Now, next, what have we got here? This is titled Additional Instances from King Kong Email. All right. Hi, Stephen. You use my first name. I specifically leave out my last name out because I really don't want people in my woods hunting beings that have never harmed me. Crazies are everywhere. A friend told me last year that cryptid guys were a bit up north from me, lower peninsula of mid-Michigan, on a certain date, and they said you could come and tell your encounters and stories of cryptid encounters. I didn't go. Good for you. Again, I don't want to bring others into this space and endanger humanoids that have done nothing wrong nor bad, at least to me. I've been wandering these forests for years now, and they let me know when I was too close, and never use scare tactics or harm at all. I carry very large knives, but never guns, and so far no bear spray. I owe them the same respect they've given me to feel safe. Anyways, these are the mini incidents that happened before the two major ones you previously read about. These all happened either the summer prior to the main events or 2 years' time before the main events. So everything took place within 3 years total. And prior to that, if there was anything else, I was oblivious. So, on a walk one spring in the woods, I was headed back towards the house. I was walking through clearings so I didn't get my clothes caught in all the brambles. There was no real trail, just woods. I could see quite far in front of me. I started smelling something sour yet sweet. Nose annoying like a skunk, but not as pungent. More like how a stink bug smells, but doesn't leave your nostrils like the skunk. It was absurdly strange and more annoying than anything, but still musky sweet. I thought it may be a bear. I've never smelled one, but I heard they can put off an odor of sorts. I was contemplating the wind direction and decided I was all right if it was a bear, because I was upwind of it, and I had a basketball-sized area I could see in front of me. I think he might have been and I had a basketball-sized area. Probably the court is what you meant, right? I could see in front of me, even with the pines there, because branches were high up and the trees weren't very dense there. I had my eyes faced front the whole time as I didn't want to physically run into a bear. So I still took caution to make sure I wouldn't stumble upon it. I smelled this scent coming to me for almost 5 minutes of walking. And remember, I could see at least a basketball court length in front of me. Well, I kid you not, I saw nothing. But I saw right in front of my feet a pile of steaming. Yes, I said steaming, like freshly laid feces. Did I mention still steaming? It was a warm day, out at least 60 to 65 Fahrenheit, and how long does it take feces to not look like it just come off of a hot plate? I saw nothing. I just looked up, looked around, and said out loud, okay, I'm going to go this way. And I headed to the right through the brambles. And there's no way I couldn't have seen what took a shit right in front of me. And there wasn't anything there to see. So, who done it? I made it home just fine. I think they wanted me to know they or it was there and maybe I should reconsider my direction, which I did. The next incident, I was washing laundry. I looked out the sliding doors by the back room, enjoying the forest edge, and all of a sudden, the tallest tree in the line of trees started shaking. It towered over all the rest that year, and I was in disbelief, looking for wind, as my brain was trying to make sense of why one single huge tree was going to and fro, while there wasn't any wind at all, and all the rest of the trees were as still as a painting. It was crazy. These are mature pines used for logging, so guesstimated height, I'm horrible at guessing height, but it's got to be at least 65, 70 feet. What can make a mature pine shake repeatedly? Instance 3. My big lab mix was on his chain outside where he loved to be, and he is protective, has treated a few animals long enough to kill them later. Some get away, some don't. He barks when people pull in the driveway. Just overall protective, but he has never ever carried on all night. Well, one night he was. I couldn't sleep as he was at the barking and the whining right outside my window for hours. And now I'm fed up, and I go to get him at 2:30 a.m. I strap a bright LED headlamp on and go to get my dog. He starts barking, kind of whimpering, which he never does. I was obviously concerned since he never whines like that. I clip the leash on, take off his shoulder lead, and then turn around, and then I hear a growl. I stop, look back, never scared either, which was strange because this sounded like a cougar, which we do have, as neighbors took a picture of some in their yard. So I turned back around and started looking for this cougar. It growled 3 separate times at us while I was looking up in the trees. Clearly visible scrub pine, empty limbs, from almost 1/4 of the tips to the center, so everything could be seen. Nothing. Looked around the bend of the house on the ground, mostly green except the dirt patch the dog was near. Nothing. There was nothing anywhere. The growls sounded like they came from less than 5 feet from where I was standing, but nothing anywhere. So, still amazingly, not scared. Said I need to get back in the house, so I walked slowly to the front and kept the dog in at night for months. I didn't want my baby getting hurt, and I couldn't get away can't get away if tied. I later came to realize a cougar wouldn't have sat there hiding and growling at a dog for hours, with everywhere to run. Fields beside me, lot and fields across from me, and forest on either side of the road, with all the free space to get away from this dog. Excuse me. Or why did it attack after hours? The dog was chained, easy prey if the cat had a large enough set on him to go that far, and I don't think my dog would whine at a cougar. It would have been all attack mode to get the big kitty. He has a small one in the house he loves. So what stood in the trees antagonizing a large dog for hours, then growled at me also 3 times? And there were pauses in between, so take a wild guess what it could be. I didn't realize at the time, but I do now. Another incident. I was going to kill some wild pigs that kept eating my garden. So, a friend and myself stayed up really early, 2:30 a.m., because the pigs are never seen during the day. The cornfield next to me was a favorite of the pigs to run right at the edge. We took our guns and sat in the back corner of the house closest to the cornfield. My friend would be a horrible hunter because he was smacking gum, rocking the squeaky, rickety metal lawn chair, wouldn't stop talking, and I think he just really wasn't into the hunting. So, as we sat there and chatted, the motion light come on every so often because of my friend rocking in his chair. I looked over at the cornfield, and there were 3 sets of eyes. The corn was really tall, already about 7 or 8 feet at least. I'm over here thinking they are pigs laughing at us, and my thoughts anyways, with our sad hunting LOL. And I didn't even think to that point. I didn't even think to point and shoot. Why? They were right there. But Steve, if you are making that much noise, do you think pigs would line up perfectly along the edge of the corn and stare at us? I don't know what I was thinking. But I wasn't thinking because Now I'm thinking, wow, you're so dumb, LOL. Those were not pigs. I'm just massively happy I hadn't taken a shot at them. I did stare right at their eyes for a minute or two, looked away to chat, and when I looked back, they were gone. I never did see any bodies, just eye shine. No noise, nothing. Continuing on. Another incident has to do with another friend of mine who was renting here for a while. He was raised in the country, seen tons of bear, knows they are here, nothing out of the ordinary. He's also in his late 50s at the time, massive mushroom hunter, and spent most of his summer walking the forest to collect and sell the mushrooms. All legal ones, just in case anyone is wondering, LOL. So, no stranger to Michigan wildlife, it's pitch black out here. So I invested in a solar 3-light street lamp with a flower pot at the bottom so we could light up the front stairs and driveway just enough not to trip on anything. My friend went outside to sit on the porch, and at 2:30ish again, he comes barreling through the house yelling my name to come out and see this massive bear that pushed over my lamplight. He grabbed my arm and everything. I'm thinking, what's so interesting about a bear? Except for the fact that I'm 5'0" and petite, so I'd be a Scooby snack to this thing. And why is he taking me out to see it? On my way out, grabbed the trusty high-powered LED headlamp, and within 20 seconds we were back out there. No bear, no nothing. Not his rump running away, not seeing him walking away, nothing. He's got to go a bit to get to the covered forest, across the road and a small yard across the street, and the side yard is completely open. And it's quite a ways to the next trees there also. It's like the bear didn't exist. I asked my friend, did you see the bear? He said he heard the bear, turned around, and it knocked the light down, and he ran to get me. So the light was behind him, and said the bear was on its hind legs, and he only saw a silhouette at the back of it, but he didn't see its face. So, to this day, I wonder why an experienced, lived in the forest, country, all his life man would be so freaked out over a bear. And why would he drag my little arse out there if there was a bear there? The lamp was less than 20 feet from my front door, and I'm still shaking my head at that one. And one more thing happened after the big King Kong sounds, and it's left me really wondering. Remember I said I wondered if the cougar got the baby Sasquatch? If it wasn't a piglet, but terror screams of a little Sasquatch? Well, this midsummer, I was walking around the garden and I looked back near the woods and a small tree was shaking, just a limb. So I looked, walked towards it, and got about 50 more feet forward, and something black looked back at me and bounced out of that tree, and the limb flung like a yo-yo. It had no tail, its face was flat, but too far away to make out any eyes, nose, or anything. But when it turned away from me, I could just tell there wasn't a protruding nose. It was bent over like a bear, all fours, but wasn't as thick as a bear. I honestly believe it could have been a little cryptid. Almost had a monkey shape, but no tail, and it was jet black looking from where I was standing. Anyways, those were the extra events that happened that I hadn't put two and two together to realize what exactly was happening here. Take care, and thanks to you both, you and Sarah, for what you do for us and the communities and people around you. Sandra. All right, there you go. I think you know what's going on. You know what's going on. It doesn't seem to be too intimidating or aggro in any way so far, right? Keep us posted. Keep us posted. I got a whole bunch more. I'll save it for later. There's so many. But anyway, there you go. There's a handful of more emails heard. And that's it for sharing emails. Now I'm going to rant a little bit. Sort of, but not. Sort of, but not. Not a rant. I've got a good handful of people have replied to me with interest to build my website. And just so you know, I haven't had a chance to reply to anyone yet the second time. And right now, I'm just going to wait a couple of days to see what's up, because with the tariff war that our fallen country apparently is going to enter because of our defunct absolute loser brain dead example of a leader has decided to retaliate with, which is, I'll talk about in a minute. Our dollar is already weak. I think we're at 68 cents to the American dollar. Okay, so what? I got to add on another 30% on top of any kind of website quotes currently. And now our dollar is about to get pummeled. I mean, where you're talking, we might as well start calling them Canadian pesos now, right? So, I'm going to have to hold off on a little bit and reconsider if this is good or bad time, because the majority of everybody that replied to help me with the websites from the States. And no, I'm not looking for any handouts at all. I don't ask for that. I pay for skills. End of story. And I've always charged for my skills in the past and currently as well. So anyways, I'm going to wait just maybe until I get back, or else maybe in a couple more days. I'm really keeping tabs on what's going on globally, especially with my country and my friends in the United States, so I can make my appropriate decisions and moves on what I am going to do and what I do to make sure that everything's cool at my house and in my life. Now, to what's really going on. Am I angry about this tariff thing? Not even a hiccup of anger, frustration towards the U.S. If anything, because of what I think what's going down, what I do know for a fact is currently Canada is 100% under the thumb of England, Britain, the UK, whatever you call them. Where I got nothing I have no bad feelings towards the people of England. The government probably is ground zero for evil. The British government, or whoever controls the British government. That's a fact. And I do know for a fact as well that Canada is under the thumb of those people. Period. The globalists, globalism, the WEF, our so-called leader, who's actually a puppet, was put in place by the globalists. All right? So that's where we are right now. Canada's stand is currently under the control of the globalists. Okay? Follow me? What it looks to be going down is, and there's absolute evidence that the Trump administration has basically given both middle fingers to the globalists. The woke, go broke group of absolute frickin' psychopaths. Thank God. So, I did look into it as well, and the word on the street is the tariffs are going down against Mexico and Canada unless we clean up our borders and strengthen our borders. The globalists don't want that. They're the ones who started this massive global migration. Okay, follow me. So, the maniac puppet here in Canada obviously went down, had a meeting with Trump, and I would pay huge to know exactly what Trump would have said to him to his face. Because in the past, this puppet has absolutely insulted Trump hardcore. And Trump doesn't forget anything. I don't forget anything either. So who only knows what he really said to that little Muppet's face when he got him in Mar-a-Lago. And furthermore, when Trump has invited any global leader, businessman, anybody to Mar-a-Lago, they stay there. There's over 100 and some odd rooms there. He didn't let Trudeau stay there. He's like, see ya, get out of here. And immediately after Trudeau left, he referred to him as the potential governor of the 51st state of the United States of America, right? Which is pretty comical, you gotta admit. And went to humiliating the living shit out of him and never stopped. I would have too. I would have done the exact same thing as well. And then I think I shared Elon Musk even retweeted. Trudeau came home and made some kind of stupid, absolute brain dead comment about not allowing America to have their first female president or something like that. And then Elon Musk retweeted saying he's such a tool and he'll be out of power soon. Anyway, so now Trudeau has announced his resignation, which is a joke. He's still in power. And the globalists, the worst of the worst, are right now jockeying to see who they will announce as the next puppet in control of Canada under the thumb of the British government, and the globalists. Follow me? So, that's where we are. What do I think is going to happen? What do I think is actually truly happening right now? Well, I know they cannot do anything about the border because the globalists don't want that to be done. So, they use the puppet to sound the alarm and say, well, we're going to impose tariffs on the US. Fuck. It's so cringe. This is so cringe and embarrassing. You got this absolute clueless pussy thinking he's going to go against a country with 10 times the population and probably 1,000 times the power as Canada. Oh my God. It's not going to end well, right? It's not going to end well. So, what's going to go down? What I think is possibly going down, which is going down, if you watch what's going on in the globe, Germany is absolutely falling apart at the seams. Sweden, Denmark. They showed a video clip the other day of, I don't know what it was. It looked to be hundreds of military-aged black males from Africa pushing on a gate to get into Italy on their way to Britain. Britain is an absolute shit show, falling apart at the seams. So, I think that unfortunately, before it gets better for us here in Canada, hopefully these tariffs, the so-called tariff war, is probably going to kickstart us really going spiraling down the shitter to the point that the people are finally going to absolutely revolt and stand up and remove the globalist power from us. I think that's what's going down. I hope that's what's going down. Because there's nothing is going to come from this tariff war in favor of the current Canadian government or the people. Nothing. We're doomed. Canada is going to lose and lose heavily. That's all there is to it. Anyways, I hope my babble's making a little bit of sense. What I'm saying is, I'm going to hold off on doing anything right now when it comes, because that's going to cost me a shit pile of money to get somebody to build me a website right now. And I need to watch what's coming, keep tabs on it with interest, and I'll try to cut some time soon to absolutely look into my new website, what I might need to do it myself, maybe possibly, I don't know. It just frustrates me when I go to sitting down and teach myself how to do something. I'll do it. There's nothing I can't do. That's how I carry myself in life. There's nothing I can't do. I'll figure it out. But it's cost me a lot of time in life, right? When I look back like, oh, you idiot, you should have just hired somebody. But anyways, I absolutely appreciate all the people who emailed me to help me with the website, and I haven't dumped the idea of using someone yet. I just need a little more time. I want to see what's coming down the pipe. Okay? And that's my take on what's going down here in Canada, what's going down here between Canada and the US. It's not about the people, it's not about making things hard for Canadians, it's about removing the globalists. I bet my life on it. That's what's going down. So, if you're Canadian watching this, get ready for the shit show. Get ready for the shit show. Nothing but a shit show has come to our country via the globalist puppets that have been put in place. So this next step is just another big chop at the ankles and the legs that we get chopped down as a country. And those guys, leaders, so-called leaders and politicians, it's their demise. They just sealed their fate with that move. I'm babbling. There's so much to watch. There's so much going on globally right now. I spent a lot of time trying to keep tabs on it and listening to my favorite independent journalists around the globe. And there is a lot going on. Holy shit, there's a lot going on. But anyways, I'll be back tomorrow. Times are changing every single day right now, isn't it? Holy shit. And nothing but prayers, and warm thoughts and prayers going out to the families of all the people who have been involved in the plane crashes lately, the helicopter hitting that passenger jet. It's just a whole bunch of sadness going on, I'll tell you what. So prayers to all those families. There, how's that for babble? I'm babbling like a doorknob right now. Anyway, gotta get going. I'm gonna grab Sarah, and we're gonna go sweat it up and get beat up in the gym again. And then go find some healthy food. Back tomorrow, without a doubt.